Drop the beat now.
Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome to Marriage Can Heal podcast. My name is Tara.
My name is Pedro. Welcome, everybody.
And we are here today with you, with a special guest, husband Brent and Anika Chrishon. Am I saying the name
Chrishon.
Chrishon. Yeah,
yes.
They'll correct us when we put them on.
Yes.
But we're so happy to talk about what we're going to be talking about today. Fighting for your marriage and how important it is, and just their testimony is very powerful. And I pray that each person that listened to this on YouTube or the radio station, that someone will be blessed and helped.
Yes, I'm hoping for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to say how you doing today. How you doing?
I'm
you
doing
all
good
right?
today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, a little tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be making it through.
Yeah, we're making it through. Yeah,
so that's the main thing.
Yeah,
is that we pushing through, and we having our first guest for 2023.
That's right. And it's season
3, episode 8.
There you go. Because you say I say that every.
I did say
I'm
that.
like, you don't say that everything, but you claim you say it. So hey, all right then.
So
All
guys, share this podcast with anyone that may be going through some situation in a relationship or even starting a marriage. You never know how it can help and uplift someone.
Yes.
Yep.
To show that even in life, if your marriage is going through through some troubles, and you may want to leave, or you may leave and then you come back, or you may not want to come back, that with God and everything, you can get it together, and God can make it work as long as the couple wants it to work too.
Definitely.
So without further ado,
we're
going to go right into it today.
We're going to welcome in Brent and
Anika Chrishon.
Could you guys please correct
I'm
us,
still
please?
saying it wrong. Chrishon. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Real quick, they're the author of Fight for Your Marriage, a book that you can get on Amazon.
Yep.
I think it was like $9.99 on Amazon in pounds. So in the UK it was $9.99. Yeah.
Yeah.
And got it like the very next day.
Yeah.
They got the book too. Yes.
So you guys, please purchase that book. It's very. We have started to read it, but we haven't finished yet. But what we have read already has been. It's had me glued to the page. I'm like, Pedro, take your time and turn the page. So,
I read faster than her, so
Yeah. So we've been having a good time. So guys, could you introduce yourself to us?
Well, my name is Brent.
And where you guys are from?
My name is Brent Chrishon.
I'm Anika Chrishon.
And we are the Chrishon family of Fight for Your Marriage with Anika.
And we live in Georgia, Middle Georgia, in the United States of America.
And sometimes people say, well, where in Georgia? Because when you think of Georgia, you think of Atlanta. So we're about 2 hours from Atlanta, a little closer to Augusta. Like Pedro say, I guess the only reason people know about Augusta is Augusta National. The what's that? That's the Masters Championship, right? Right, Pedro? When they play golf, when they golf for the Masters.
That's the golf championship. It's one of the major championships.
Yeah.
Trivia.
I think that your Masters, or is it the U.S. Open? No, I don't know which one it is. I haven't watched golf in a while, but yeah. Yeah, it is the Masters. You're right. It is the Masters. You're right. You're right.
Well,
all right. So, like we said, you guys go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love, the ministry. Marriage can heal, and that's so beautiful. And really, that's what we're all about. We call it Fight for Your Marriage, but really, what you said in the introduction was so spot on and so beautiful. That's our testimony, and I think you guys' testimony as well. And it's just about being very transparent, being very real, that we've dealt with some things. We've went through some very difficult things, but God has healed our marriage. We were able to be recovered, and the love is so strong. Pedro, Tara, I say to people, You know, we love our friends that we still friends after we done been through something. It's not saying that we asking to go through something, but the reality of life is we
Right.
go through stuff. And don't you feel closer to a friend after y'all been through something? You
Yeah.
know you got a true friend. They had a chance to walk away. And our
Definitely.
marriage,
Definitely.
by God's grace, has just been so beautiful. And we're going to talk about that a little more. But I just wanted to say that marriage can heal. The name of y'all ministry is so beautiful. And really, that's what we're about.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, we came up with that a couple of months ago. Just we wanted to do a name change, and Tyler said she was praying, and it just popped in her head. And she said she woke me up and said, "Hey, I want to change the name to Marriage Can Heal."
That's
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Just let me sleep." Okay, no problem.
I talk about it in the morning.
After I woke up and I thought about it, I was like, that would be perfect for us. Yeah, we definitely should change. So yeah, that's our goal. Like you said, is just to minister to people about how marriage can heal.
Right.
Because the devil right now is really fighting to destroy marriages, families, and people.
Right.
And we just feel that if you just trust in God, your marriage will be your marriage can get stronger every day,
And you
every
said
minute.
something else too, Pedro,
So
in
yeah,
the intro
definitely.
I thought was real key. And we don't highlight this that much, Anika, but he said it in the intro, and you said something so powerful. You said if you want to, if you want it. Oh man, that's so powerful. If you want it, if you want it,
Right.
nothing could stop you. And that's the message we want to put out there to whoever's listening today. You know, people could talk about any goals
Right.
in
Right.
life and achieving anything, but it's not gonna happen in our life unless you want it. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want it, if you want your marriage to heal, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
come back together, if it sounds like it's impossible, the four of us are here to say today it can happen.
Amen.
If you want it, with God's help, it can happen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
definitely,
Definitely.
definitely. So we just met you guys today. We've been going back and forth. We finally got together. Can you tell us a little bit about one thing I want to say about, because you said about having friends and stuff. I was very impressed right off the back with the acknowledgments of all the people that you had. I've never seen like that many folks in the acknowledgments. I mean, it's cool. It's like, it says it takes a village to raise a family.
Right.
So I was like, wow, this definitely is a village,
Yeah.
But beyond that, like, why when you wrote this book, could you explain to us why you wrote the book? And could you tell us a little bit of like how you met and the beginning of the beginning of the story of your testimony?
Yes.
Yes, I sure can. So first of all, the reason I wrote the book was to I can talk to people. I used to share my testimony with women who were going through some difficult times in their marriage, or I could talk to a few women, or I could share my
Right.
testimony here and there. But I said, like Jesus, he can't be everywhere, so he sent his Holy Spirit, So I'm not trying to say that I'm Jesus, but
Right.
the message, I feel like it can go more places. Like I can't be in the UK right now, but the book can. The message that the book has, the book can be places that I cannot be. And that's what made me decide to
Right.
write the book. And also I like to read. I like to write, I like to read. And so to just put it in a format that could work with my
Right.
personality type, something that I enjoyed doing. Brent was very supportive when I wrote it. I think I started in like
Mm-hmm.
2018, maybe writing the book. And he just kind of gave me some office time, watched the kids a lot for me. And I
Right.
was able to type, really get the book down, I think maybe like in a month, and just kind of working some 8-hour shifts, typing it in. But then after that, I put it before some of these women that I mentioned in the
Right.
acknowledgments, and they kind of come back and be like, oh, you need to do this, or you need to give more details. How did you feel? And they would just kind of bounce ideas off of me and just kind of remind me that we don't know what happened. You're telling the story, but like what happened, but you need to give more
Yeah.
details.
I remember that
How did
now.
you
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
remember
what
that.
was
Yeah.
tell me what's going on? What were you thinking? And it's like, oh, so we're talking about things that happened almost 20
Right.
years ago. But God blessed. In answer to prayer, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to remember these things and go back and try to do a much better job than I did originally, and kind of share some more background and kind of
Right.
show how we got to the broken marriage part to just kind of show that we started on a really not a strong foundation when we got married. We were both going to church together, but that's about all. We were not really walking with Christ like we are doing now. So that's why I wrote the book, as a way to share this important message of hope to women that may be going through a difficult time in their marriage. And that's what somebody did to me. And that's what's on the front of the book. If you look at the front, you'll see that's like a picture representing me and two women that were supporting me during my marriage. And so sometimes a little bit later in the book, I mentioned Sheila and how I went to Sheila's home, and I met Sheila at a marriage retreat, but we ended up shortly after Brent left, I believe. Well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I went to a marriage support group. And at this marriage support group, I met women who were going through difficult times in their marriage, who God had done some amazing things for, and they were an inspiration to me. And I said, oh, I was very inspired by that. And it inspired me to look to God to do some
Tell a little bit
things
more
for me.
about those women and what they were going through.
Well, the women, they were facing issues similar to what I was going through, infidelity, or just a husband that just decided, okay, I don't want to be married anymore. I'm going to leave. Drugs, alcohol, addictions, pornography. I mean, just you name it,
They went through it all.
whatever kind of sin Satan could tempt you to go through, these women had went through it. But these women prayed for their husbands in the midst of these just unspeakable things they did to them. And these women prayed for their husbands, prayed for themselves, prayed for their marriages, and God restored their marriages and made them better than they were in the beginning. And when my marriage was going bad, I'm like, oh, if he could do that for them, maybe he could do it for me. And so I kind of set out and said, you know what? I'm going to pray. First of all, I mean, it's like I had to put the oxygen mask on myself and get myself, with God's help, in a better place. So I started getting stronger. My faith in God started increasing. I put the oxygen mask on. Then I could pray for my husband, and then after I prayed for my husband, I could pray for our marriage. And that's what God did. So after, I won't tell those details yet, but God restored our marriage. And that's fast forward, I decided to write it, as also a legacy for our children, to just be able to say, God is good. With God, all things are possible. Your actual existence is a miracle, because if it was if Satan had his way, you would not be here. Your mother and father would not be together. Therefore, you would not be here, So it's all a miracle. And I'll go back. I'll let Brent kind of share how we met.
Okay. And that's the question I asked.
Guys, can I just interject for one quick minute? I just want to interject for one quick minute. Just listening to you, right? What you were saying, I realized something. Tara and I, like our story, our testimony is almost exactly, but just different. In the sense of, I didn't know this. I learned this during the testimony that we did with character building with Miss Heather. Tara said she used to be, while I'm sleeping, put a hand over me and pray over me. I didn't know this. Wow. I was sleeping. My wife was praying for us, even through all the stuff I was putting her through. The devil had a hold of me and was making me do things. And my wife is praying every night for me, putting her hand over me, praying for me, saying, Lord, please help my marriage. Please work with my marriage. This and that, just like what you was doing. I mean, it's different, but in the it's still a parallel. And my parallel is that women are stronger. Women are stronger than we give them credit for as men.
Pedro, that's the bottom line, man. I hear it in your heart as you say that. When we would share our testimony, man, what this is going on is my wife prayed for me when I left, because I was in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I was firmly in Satan's grasp. So to be recovered. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you this, Pedro. When I called her after we had been apart for maybe 4.5 years, I was getting my church membership transferred. And when I called, because I started going back to church, that prior to that time, I'd stopped going to church. And the first thing that happened to me is the Lord started recovering, developing my relationship with the Lord. And so I was getting my church membership transferred, and I called the clerk, and it was still the same clerk when I was there in Birmingham years before. And I said, "Oh, Sister Mary, yeah, this is Brent. I'm going back to church again." She said, "Oh, praise the Lord." Da da da. And she was like, "Does Anika know?" I said, Nika probably don't want to hear nothing I gotta say. I done put her through so much. She said, Brent, I think she would like to know that you're going back to church. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I didn't have her number at that time. Sister Pulliam gave me Anika's number, and I called her, and I was like, Nika, wait, this is
Wow.
Brent. Look, don't hang up the phone. I just called just to tell you I'm going back to church, and I'm not trying to be 1
Wow.
foot in, 1 foot out like I was. I'm gonna be 2 feet in. And it
Right.
was silent for
Mhm.
about 10
Mhm.
seconds, and Anika said, "I've been praying for you."
I didn't know
Man,
what to say because I had been
Wow.
waiting for this day for
Wow.
4 years. And
Wow.
this is like,
Wow.
Be
I
honest.
mean, what? This is like,
Be honest. Did your heart almost
I mean,
explode?
I don't even know. It's like,
Did your heart almost explode when
I
he
was
said
like, is
that?
this a trick? You know what I mean? Is this the devil playing on my already emotional self? It's just like, this cannot be true. It's like, I think of the Bible verse, when the Lord turned again the captivity, we were like them that dream. It's like,
mm,
is this some kind of like a dream come true? Because it's
Right.
like I've been praying, didn't see, and that's the thing about it. There were times that I was praying and I would see like a little glimmer of hope that, oh yeah, things are coming together. The prodigal son is returning home. Then there was times that it looked bad, you all. I mean, it's just like by all outward appearances, this looks like a hopeless situation. This relationship is dead and there is no way to bring any life back into this situation. And so I continue to press forward
Wow.
by God's grace and his miraculous power. But I didn't understand,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, I mean, there was a time I just had to cut off communication with Brent because he was just like, I mean, Satan had him in such a way that he just was, 1 minute he was this way, then another minute he was this way. Just, he wants to work it out. He didn't want to work it out. He loved me. He didn't love me. And it's just like, no, I mean, it's bad
Right.
enough that you love, but now you're going to just kind of put me on a roller coaster. No. And so I just ended up cutting off communication.
Wow.
But even though that communication was cut off, I knew
Mm.
he was in trouble, so I continued to pray for him. And then I
Right.
continued, there were times that I didn't
Right.
necessarily pray for our relationship to be restored, but I prayed. There were times I prayed for myself,
Right.
prayed for Brent, and I prayed for our relationship to be restored.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So Brent, I have one question now that I'm thinking about it. What made you leave? Like what made you want to
Excuse me,
go?
do you want him to go back to how we met?
Because you was about 9 months into your marriage,
it
right?
was just before a
Yeah.
year, just before a
Yeah.
year, so
You
close to
start
that.
with how we
Yeah,
met.
I'll
Okay.
talk about how we met because, I'll bring the two together.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that's a very good question. I don't think we've been really asked that
Okay.
a whole lot. So we met.
Oh.
So so I was raised Catholic in Louisiana, not really very churched. Um, if you asked me, I would have said I believe in
Right.
Jesus, but it didn't really impact my life.
Mhm.
Um, so
Right.
when I was graduating from college, and I went to school in New Orleans, Louisiana, and
Mhm.
when I was graduating from college, I had a young lady tell me about the Seventh Day Sabbath. And when I finished school, I went and studied at a public library.
Right.
So I started attending Seventh Day Adventist Church. So that's a change in my life. Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
Then uh, after
Mhm.
going to
Mhm.
that church, not even a year later, I got my first big job that moved me away from home and brought me to Birmingham, Alabama. I was in Louisiana. I worked for Xerox Corporation. Okay. Young man, I'm talking 23
Right.
years old, very young,
Mhm.
got a
Mhm.
nice job. New
Wow.
religion, now new job.
Right.
All right. While I was there,
Right.
I started going to the big mother church, the big black church downtown Birmingham, which is Ephesus. And the reason I started going there because
Right.
Yeah, we know that
my
church.
guy that I was friends with at Berea and in Baton Rouge had a brother that lived in Birmingham. So I started going to Martin Church. And
Okay.
guess what? That's where I met Anika. Matter of fact, I met Anika at her
Wow.
house because Anika's mom would do potluck for people that's new, visitors, elderly people. She's very
Right.
social like that, very loving. I got invited
Mhm.
to go to Mama. She was Mama Barnes at the time. Mama Gee's house to eat potluck. While I'm coming up to the
Right.
door, this young lady's leaving. She had all red on, had a red dress on, had some sunglasses on, looking all sexy and cool. And then I said
Uh-oh.
hello, and
Uh-oh.
she just walked by me like hello,
Uh-oh.
and hopped in her car and left. But then she came back that afternoon, and we was talking, we was
Wow.
communicating everything, and Anika became my friend. Really, for months, I didn't think
Right.
she really liked me. I just thought she was being friendly, like her mom. You know what I'm saying? Like she'd check on me, like how you doing? You new to
Right.
the city,
Right.
right?
Right.
You new around. I'm just checking on you, and really, I I was just like I really liked the nigga, and really quickly was loving her because I really never met anybody like her. You know, I never met a sister. She was a real sister. You know, she was
Wow.
fine, she was good looking, but she was just being so friendly. But that's about as far as it went. It seemed like, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of mystifying me. And I was and I but anyway, I didn't know
Ooh.
any females like that back home. Anyway, make a long story short,
Right.
we got married quickly. Okay, I'm answering your question, Sister Tara.
Mhm.
And after about a year and a
Yes.
half of knowing each other, I proposed and we got married. Now, hold on, watch this. New
Right.
religion, moved
Okay.
away from home. We bought a house.
Right.
So
Mhm.
new job, got married for the first
Right.
time. That's some of the biggest things you can
Mhm.
do in
Mhm.
life. I found out later, Pedro. There's
In your
some of the
life.
6 biggest things that could
Right.
happen in your life that could be stressors. I did 5 out of the 6. The only one that didn't happen in
Mhm.
my
Right.
life is the death of a loved one. But some of the 6 biggest things you could do in your life is
Right.
you can move away from home, get a new job, new career, new religion, get married, buy a house. I'm 23
Right.
years old, 23, 24,
Mhm.
did all of those in about the space of a year. So to answer your question, why did I leave? It was just too much for
Wow.
Mhm.
me. And I wasn't converted. I
Wow.
remember I grew up
Right.
in Baton Rouge, you know, little neighborhood, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I remember driving up to the one day, I do remember this particular day I
Mhm.
could share with you. I remember driving home from work. Now I got a pharmaceutical
Okay.
job. So I'm doing well financially. My career is going up. Things is looking bright and beautiful. I remember I never had a house that had a garage with the press the button and the door open. I never lived in a house like that, but
Right.
now I do at 24 years old. So I had a house better than I ever lived in with my parents.
Right.
And I remember driving into the driveway and the
Wow.
door closed behind me. And I remember this particular day, I'm sitting in my car like, what what is going on? This is my house. My wife is upstairs. Like I didn't recognize my life. Like it all just happened so fast. I remember this
Right.
particular
Mm.
day as I sat
Wow.
there in the car, like, is this like where am I? Where my dudes at?
Is this
What's
happening?
happening? What if it was just too much,
Wow.
and my mind
Right.
began to draw back to Louisiana. I wanted to do the things I used to do, and you got to
Right.
understand, I wasn't connected to Christ.
Mhm.
Connected
We
to the church.
we can't do these things.
Right.
I had joined to the church, Pedro. You know what I'm talking about. I had joined the church,
Right.
but I wasn't
Yes.
Mhm.
joined
Yes.
to Christ. So that's not
Right.
Mhm.
strong enough.
Right.
Okay. So when the old
Mm.
feelings come
No.
back, you know what I'm saying? I had nothing to hold me
Yes.
down. So eventually, as I started missing what I used to do, I started
Right.
hanging out with Anika's cousin. And then we started going to Atlanta. Next thing you know, I bought a car,
Right.
black on chrome, peanut butter
Right.
leather, and I'm driving around that old life. I'm going out shooting pool and stuff. I'm like, man, I miss this, you know. Well, next thing you know, thoughts go all the way to
Right.
I'm ready to
Right.
go back to New Orleans. I'm ready to go back home. I want to be with my friends. That's so immature.
And I didn't know
Wow.
any of this was going on. I'm thinking
Mhm.
that everything's fine. I didn't have any clue because he's young and we're young. I'm young, and both of us kind of foolish. He's had some foolishness in his own way, and I'm just
Right.
naive, had no idea that he was thinking these thoughts. He came to me one day and he was like,
Wow.
I think I want to let you know I'm leaving or I'm going to Louisiana. I'm like, so when are we leaving? He was like, no, it's not we, it's me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's when it really
Wow.
hit me. I think it was like the summertime, maybe like 6 months after we were married. I think it was about 6 months,
Right.
maybe 9 months.
Your book says
Yes,
9. Sorry, your book
Thank you.
says 9. To show you that I didn't read, and I'm not looking in the book, but to show you that I
Thank
did
you.
read,
Help
it
me
does
out,
say 9.
okay? So 9 months later, and then he took about 3 months to actually make it happen. And I'm saying to myself, surely he not serious, you know? And so I'm trying to gather my strength and talk to people and be like, y'all, can y'all
Wow.
talk to him and talk him out of this decision he's gonna make? And I'm like, surely he didn't, he's not gonna do it, he wouldn't do it. Why would he do it? Because
Right.
we get along
Right.
fine. You know, we like best friends. We
Right.
like the same things. We don't hardly argue. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of fussy sometimes, or he kind of got his ways, or he kind of fussy sometimes. But we didn't have any major arguments to just be like, oh, this is bad. We need to go our separate ways. I mean, we had money. Money wasn't an
Right.
issue. I mean, the big things, I guess communication could have been it, that he didn't communicate that, hey, I'm having thoughts of going back,
Right.
until he was really far along the line to do it, putting a job in place, transfers, and trying to look for housing, these kind of things. But by that time, it's too late. You know, it's just kind of, you could have said something before
Right.
now, you know, and I mean, some kind of things
Right.
came out that, okay, my mom had sent us to a marriage retreat. And I'm thinking maybe this experience will kind of help him get some sense and he'll kind of change his mind. But he was stuck.
Right.
Even at the marriage retreat, he was like,
Hmm.
He had
he
made
wouldn't
his mind up.
participate. He just acted pretty. It was pretty bad.
Oh, it freeze. One
Yeah,
second.
see. Yeah, so far they got married,
Yep.
and then he decided that after the 5 things, he said 6 things.
Right.
But I also say I think the 7th thing is having a baby too is also a major thing when you first get married. That's why I think for us, not having a baby for the first couple of years was great for us.
Right.
But yeah, and then so he decided he needed to go back home, kind of like
Right.
what you did. I need to go back home, be with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I miss my friends. I want to go work. I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he decided that's what he was going to
Okay.
do.
We had
Yeah. It just kind of frozen, but we just
It's
kept
froze. We
talking.
just kept
Saying, yeah.
talking. we were just synopsis for somebody that may have came in at the last minute.
Right.
What you was talking about,
all right, Brent.
and I was gonna say that even though that's fine, even though you guys had went down to you guys went to the marriage retreat, his mind was already made up. So by that time, it was
Oh
too
yeah,
late.
it was too late. Because I was too weak in what I was embracing or what I was headed to, and he was strong. You know, I mean, he was strong and committed.
Can I ask you a quick question? When you went, could it? I just thought of something. When you went to the marriage retreat, he already had his mind made up. Was your expectation that he was going to change his mind by going? Like, was your heart really into it when you went to the marriage
Mine or
retreat,
he?
or was you just like
Hers or his?
yours? Because he's already had his mind made up. So even though he's going, he's more. It seemed like he's more just going just to appease you, but his mind's already made up. But how was your heart really into going to the marriage retreat and thinking, or would you like thinking like he's going to
I
change,
definitely did, yeah. Because,
or
like I said, I didn't even know we had problems. You know, it's just like, surely we
Right.
could
gotcha?
get some
Okay,
outside help, and they can kind of work us through. Because that's what I do now. You know, I work with the women as a
Right.
marriage and mental health coach, and try to help them to get to the root of the problem and build on a strong foundation instead of a weak foundation, and anything come can blow your house away. And so, but we, again, I didn't think we had any
Right.
problems. You know, it's kind of like going to the doctor, no health, pre-existing health conditions, and he diagnosed you with stage 4 cancer. And
I
it
need to say
just kind of
something.
hit
Mm.
you, you know. And it's like, I wasn't prepared to get the
Wow.
diagnosis of stage 4 cancer, so let me go and try to go to the urgent care. So urgent care, I'm
Right.
hmm
past the
Mm-hmm.
urgent care.
I need to say something. As I
Mm-hmm.
retell this story, I'm realizing something that I don't think I've brought out much when we've told this testimony many times. And I want to hear
Right.
from y'all what I'm gonna say, Pedro and Tara. I want to hear from both of y'all because we have some similar
hmm
situations. Because young and dumb
Right.
doesn't answer the whole thing. It explains a lot of
Oh
it,
no.
Right.
Pedro, Tara, what I was
hmm
dealing with and what I
Mm-hmm.
did. Being young and dumb
Right.
explains a lot of it, but it really don't explain explain the whole thing, nor really get to the root of it. What I'm gonna say, I
Right.
really haven't said it other testimonies. So, like a lot of
Right.
young black young people in the world today, I come from parents who were divorced. Okay?
Right.
When my life in the little neighborhood I lived in, the hood, I ain't trying to act like it was that bad, but it was a hood. I didn't know
Right.
consistency. Okay.
Mm.
I love my
Mm.
mother loved me. She got married again, had stepdad or whatever. And I felt like I had a happy
Right.
life, you know what I'm saying? I didn't miss no meals, you know. I had friends,
Right.
you know, and all this type of stuff. But with my background, I didn't know what consistency looked like. Okay, to the
Right.
point that Anika comes from parents that was together. She was raised by two parents. They were successful people, you know what I'm saying? And so her
Yep.
family background is much more stable, not just their nuclear family, but the entire family. They're career people, a lot of success in the family. Me, I didn't have that background in Louisiana. So what you
Right.
had in a situation, I'm telling you, I was aware of this, that my life was as
Mm-hmm.
such that if things was too consistent, it was weird to me. Even before I moved, even before I
Yeah.
became a Seventh-day Adventist, you know, it seemed like I would mess
Right.
things up because I ain't used to that. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of our
Mm.
people are plagued by that because that's all they know. So to bring you to an environment that's stable is kind of weird. It's kind of like, what is this? You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And what I want to say is, I'm realizing this is what the big change in my life through conversion is to appreciate a stable life, is to appreciate stability
Yes.
Yes.
and to derive joy from it. Whereas where I was from, I couldn't. It felt weird to me. I couldn't derive no joy. It's like, nah,
Mm.
something got to mess up. So if it ain't gonna mess up on its own, I'm gonna mess it
Right.
up. What about you? What about you,
Right.
Frederick? Can you kind of
Right.
feel what I'm saying?
I'm thinking what you just said. We're the
Wow.
exact. We are so similar, but it's backwards. Tara used to be Baptist.
Yeah, I used to be Baptist.
I'm Seventh Day.
Mm-hmm.
Since I used to be Pentecostal till about
Mm.
5. Then my mother became Seventh Day. I got baptized in Bermuda. So when we met, just what you just said, she had both her parents her whole life.
Yes.
So to her, both successful. Her mother retired real early, you know, because she had, you know, do her thing. And Tara was determined not to give up on me because of that, because she saw both parents her
Yeah.
whole life.
Yeah.
You know, she think my mother, my father didn't even want to be dealing with me when I, you know, after a while he got remarried and he kind of just disowned me. And I could be in Bermuda and he wouldn't see me, like he wouldn't even come see me, you know, but that's here or now. That's no problem. Then my mother got married, my stepfather. Now he did bring some stability to my life, but it was still um that was around 15, but I really didn't get that stability going to my 20s because, you know, me and my stepfather kind of clashed just trying to get used to each other the first couple of years of our, you know, of my mother's, you know, marriage to him. So it was kind of the same thing. So when we met, we were not, we was equally yoked, but we was kind of
Yeah, Nika
unyoked
told me
because
the same
we
thing.
was doing we was going to Sunday church, we was going to Sabbath church.
Yeah, I didn't
You
know
know,
about the
she
Sabbath.
didn't know about
I
the
never heard
Sabbath.
about the Sabbath.
She thought it was a cult. She thought it was, you know, it was all, you know, all the things that people think it is, you know,
Right.
all of
Right.
that, you know. And then like, to be unfair to the church, but I took her to church one time and she had on a nice, my wife was sexy too, and she had on a nice jean suit.
I had on a
You know in
jean
the South, you
I
know
outfit.
the
know.
jean
I
outfit,
know.
the pants and
Yeah.
the top
Right.
was not too tight, but
She was
just
working.
fitted,
She was
you
working
know,
that.
kind of. So it's showing the
Uh-huh.
curves, but it's not showing
Uh-huh.
everything, you know, it's not, you know. And I took her to church. I didn't take her to Ephesus. I took her to another church in Alabama.
Oh.
And you probably know the church. Took her to another church. And boy, the looks I got,
I was
because I came in a suit and she was like, "Am I undressed?" I said, "No, come as
Yeah.
you are." So we went.
because he came to my house with this suit on. I was like, dude, you dressed in a
Like
suit? Like what we going to, you know? I thought it was like a funeral type of thing. And he was like, no, we're going to church. So it's Saturday for
yeah.
me. So in my mind, we finna just go out and have a
Wow.
good time. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And so we went to church and I was like, these people looking at me weird. Like, what's going on? But he kept me clean to hard. Just don't worry about it. Just be yourself. And, you know, I
That's
enjoyed the
good.
service, you know, and it was different for me. I was like, why it's nothing like Sunday, so I was comparing the two, like, confused, but still kind of
But you was
trying to
open
figure it
minded. That's
out.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I was, because I said, well, hey, it's church, because I love church. I come from a family that do nothing but sing and gospel and, preachers and all of that. So my father was a deacon, my mother was a
Mm,
musician in the church. So I was deep into the
mm-hmm,
church. I knew who God
mm-hmm,
was. I just didn't know what the
mm-hmm,
Sabbath was because it just wasn't taught
mm-hmm.
to me, but as time went on and I realized, started getting to know my husband and, his background and where he was from and how his life was and how
Mm,
unstable it was with how he grew
mm,
up and everything and versus how I
mm.
grew up. And it had me kind of understand why we had some
Wow.
issues and the
Yeah.
brokenness. I didn't see it a lot of, like, people say, bring people around your family in your community. And I bring him around my family. My grandmother loved them. But for some reason my family just did not take to Pijo as much as I wanted them to. They was like, he been married before, he had kids, all of these things. You sure you ready for this? And at this time I'm what, 20,
Mm.
21?
You're
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
Wow.
So at this
20. You guys got married quick. We met in February. We got married in
Man,
October.
we
yeah.
so similar. Wow.
Yeah, we met in February around Valentine's Day. We got married that same year in
And look, it's
October,
so many
hmm
similarities.
My
and we
parents
went to the
wasn't
It's
happy.
courthouse
so
and got
many
married.
similarities too, Tars. You continue to talk. Anika's family, I told you the stability and success, but her mother's father
Right.
was a Baptist preacher his whole life, and he come from a family of
Oh
preachers.
wow.
And
Yeah.
so that was a strong element. Matter of fact,
hmm
he was involved in the civil rights movement. They got a street in downtown Birmingham
Oh, cool.
named after him, Abraham Woods Boulevard. That's her granddad.
Oh yeah, I heard
That's
of
her
that. Yeah,
granddad.
yeah, yeah.
What church was he in?
St.
What
Joseph,
church was he? Was he in the Baptist in
St.
Alabama?
Joseph Baptist Church. Next to
St.
next to
Joseph Baptist. Yeah,
Parker
I heard
High
of St.
School.
Joseph Baptist Church. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly what it is.
Tar went to 46
Wow.
Baptist,
Yeah. Well, my mama played at a lot of churches in
Hmm.
Birmingham before I became a
but your
teenager.
main church was
But my main
46.
church, yeah. But my mother was been in the church because her brother was a preacher. Everybody
Right,
preachers and
right,
stuff
right.
in my family. So we grew
It's
up
in your
from that.
blood. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's in my blood. It's in my
Hmm.
blood. But once
It's
the
still in her blood.
the best thing that ever happened to me is learning the Sabbath,
Praise
I must
God.
say.
Praise God.
And it wasn't pushed
Hmm.
on me. My husband didn't push it
Hmm.
on me.
Yeah.
It's something that God had to
Amen.
reveal to me. And when he did that, I was
Let
changed.
me tell real quick. Yeah, because I was going to get to that. We was married 5 years before she became a
Mm.
Ventus.
Yeah.
And at the whole time, I never said to her, "You need to become a Ventus." I never said, what you want to do. We never went through that. We even had
hmm
a child, and we was talking about how we're gonna
Hmm.
raise him. And then that's when I was in jail to be
Mm.
deported. And she was studying the Bible, and she came across remember the Sabbath day
Wow.
to keep it holy. And she called me and she said, "Peter, what's the Sabbath day?" And I was like, "The Saturday." She was like, "Oh, that's why we've been going."
Wow.
That's why we've been going to church on Saturdays. Yeah, because that's the right. And then she was like, "Oh,
Wow.
hmm
I did not know that." And so then it got her interest, and she started reading more
Wow.
and more.
Right.
And she said, "I want to become Seventh Day." So when we went to go,
Your mother gave me Bible studies.
right, my mother, that's right, I
My
forgot
Wow.
about that.
mother-in-law.
Yeah,
My
my
mother-in-law
my
did.
mother gave her Bible because my mother's a Bible worker.
hmm
Yeah, and yeah, so
That's amazing.
like you said, with similarities is so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the reason I said about the Baptist thing is not in her like for her singing, because like with her singing, she doesn't like I don't know if you know this, but like Adventists sing a certain
Hmm.
way and Baptists sing
Hmm.
another way,
hmm
and like I always tell Tawa, she sings Adventist, but she still has that Baptist Southern in
Uh-huh.
her that sometimes comes out when she gets in the spirit or gets in
Uh-huh.
the thing, and it
Amen.
comes out. And the Adventists are like, "Whoa, where did that come from?"
Yeah.
you know.
Amen. Anika's got a lot on her mom's side.
Some things you just not
A
gonna
lot of a
tell
lot
you.
of singing and a lot
hmm
of musical talent. Just very talented people, and really, I still do to this day admire them. I come from South Louisiana, and Louisiana's known, and I was in New Orleans, and it's known for Mardi
hmm
Gras and the partying, and
Wow. Yeah.
Let the
Yeah.
good times roll, let bon temps rouler, and that's the ethos and attitude of where I'm from. All the eat everything from the rooter to the tutor. I guess black folk do that everywhere, but
Oh yeah.
I eating
Listen,
everything out of the Gulf, and in moving to Birmingham, I saw a different black culture, a culture of excellence, a culture of
Mhm.
yes,
overcoming, a culture
right.
of changing the
Mhm.
world with
Mhm.
civil rights movement, and in a lot of ways,
Right,
Anika
right.
embodied that, and embodies
Mm,
that. And the beautiful
right.
thing is in marriage is we complement each other. Anika was just telling me just within the
Yes.
past couple of
Yes.
days, she
Yes.
said, "You helped me to learn how to relax and take it easy."
And I help you. Okay.
Because
Yep.
Right.
again, that's my
Same thing for
background. I'm
us.
from
Same
Louisiana,
thing for
South
us.
Louisiana.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sister Tara, so what do you think about how I answer your question? Again, it's not to try to justify, but when people are dealing with difficulties in their life, I love how Pedro said that you understood that he had brokenness in his past. And so I'm just identifying that these things really did affect me. I'm not trying to justify what I did, but I think we could be honest and say,
No,
yes,
no, no, no. I understand totally.
that these things play an impact on why we do what we do.
Right, definitely. Because I can say, when I started with PJ, I was young, and a lot of times I wanted to leave. So I
Mm,
understand your mindset on why you left because
You wanted to leave or you did leave?
I did leave a lot of
About five
times.
times,
Yeah, I
six
did.
times. I ain't counting.
I
Yes.
left a lot of times because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I want,
Pedro, like,
have a
make it
family
plain.
baby. It was all coming fast. And when I met PJ children, it kind of it was a lot for me. You know what I mean? It was a lot for me to become a mother, um, a onset mother, and I'm like, I don't know how to be a mother. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? I'm only,
but
I'm young.
but I never told you to be their
No,
mother.
no, no, you didn't. But I'm just saying, for me, in my mind, I
Mhm.
was like, how I supposed to, what role do I
mm,
play? Like, how do I go into
Be
this?
yourself.
Yes, but Pijo having his experience in life, and I'm just now starting with him. I understood what my father and my mother was
mm,
saying to me. It wasn't, and my father was like, "You sure you ready? It's a lot for you to take on. You still got your whole life
mm,
ahead of you." And a lot of times I left because I felt like maybe I can start over.
mm.
Maybe I can, can't do this no more. I got to get away. Like I was running away from what I I thought I just couldn't do it. So I understand, Brent,
Mhm,
exactly what you
mhm,
went through.
Yeah, and like she was saying, I totally get. Um, when I met her, like she said, her family didn't make it easy for me,
Mm-mm.
and she'll tell you it was the weirdest thing. I had to win them over, and I won them over by kindness. I was intentionally kind. I'm already a kind person. She'll tell you. I'm not saying I'm not kind. I'm already a very outgoing, sociable person. But I'm a person that will help a
mm,
stranger. If I see you changing your tire on the side of the street and I got a jack, I'm gonna get out and say, "Hey, use my jack to get your
mhm,
car up so you can change your tire
mhm,
faster."
Right.
You
mhm,
know. And so I was so polite to the mother that even though she didn't like me, she had no choice but to like me.
Mm.
Because if she said, "Hey, Pijo, can you go ahead to the store?" I'll go. Can you help me do this? I'll do it. And I wouldn't question. I would just do it.
Right.
I'll rearrange the whole house if she asked me to. Like I literally will rearrange the whole house and not even
That's
say nothing. Just do it and say, you're welcome and go back home. Like that was just who I was. And
Yeah.
so I had to kind of like win them over a little bit before they started to kind of to like me.
I just think for my parents, they didn't want to see their daughter, be able to handle all of that was coming my
mhm.
way. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people that's more wiser than you can see more than
Oh
Oh
you can
yeah,
yeah.
see.
oh yeah.
And as I was more into it, I was like, oh wow, I see
Oh
what you're
yeah.
saying now.
Uh-huh.
So I think because I just kept praying and saying, Lord, help me through this, help me try to stay in this marriage, even though I kept leaving, coming back, going back and forth. I was just like, sometimes when I was away, I felt more
Mm,
free than I did when I was coming back into the marriage. I felt more trapped. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? I was like, I don't want to feel this way, Brent. I don't know if you felt that way, Brent. Like you was like trapped in something that you couldn't get out of. And but for me, I still didn't result in divorce. That's
Yeah,
the difference, is that I was like, I'm not gonna divorce. I'm not gonna divorce. Even though it was, yeah, I knew if I told my parents that, that's all they probably wanted to hear was like, okay, yes, she finally coming back
right,
home, you
right.
know, doing what they probably had plans for me that I didn't know what they
Mm,
had for me, but God was just taking me to another
Amen.
direction. And as time went on, I was like, you know what? God brought Pedro into my life for a reason. And sometimes God can bring you in to help that person change from how they were in their life. So I guess it just all depends
mm,
It's
on
about character.
the
God is
situation.
trying to develop our character, and He uses broken
Mm-hmm.
marriages, broken people, broken relationships to help us see,
Definitely.
to find. I mean, to just develop us and help us to leave who we were before Him and to be a new creature in Christ. And I feel like that's what
Definitely.
marriage is about. It's
Definitely.
not going to be easy. It's to help us to reflect
No.
God's character of
Mm-hmm.
love and to endure. One of Brent's
Mm-hmm.
favorite Bible verses is
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 24 and I believe 13, but it says, "He that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved." And you have to
Yes.
endure. And so we're actually, I want to just mention this. We're doing a marriage workshop. I don't think I mentioned this, but we're starting a marriage workshop, and
No,
the
go ahead.
title is called Commitment, because that's what I think we lack a
Okay.
lot of times is we lack commitment.
yeah,
We
yeah.
start something, oh, I didn't think it was gonna be like this, and we quit, or we start and we run into a few obstacles and we want
Mm-hmm.
to quit. But persevering and making these
Right.
commitments and just making a commitment to say, I made this decision, is hard, but with God's help, all things are possible, and we can look to Him and get help. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, don't try to, if you don't have
Definitely.
any medical expertise or knowledge, why you gonna try to take care of yourself? Go to somebody that can help you. And I think a lot of times we feel like, oh,
Definitely.
I'm good, we good, my marriage is good. But if it's not, get some help. Stop being so ashamed to get help, to reach out to somebody. I mean, you may have to pray that God will send you somebody that can understand you. And that's what I talk about Danita in the book, but Danita was there. I was still
Right.
kind of growing. Like Pedro, I became a Seventh-day Adventist when my mom, she had some health issues, and she went to the library and they told her, she found in the
Right.
library, she said, Seventh-day Adventists are some of the healthiest people in the world. My mom was like, I need to find these people because I need some help. And so she was having some health issues. And sure enough, she learned about the health message. She started changing her diet, and she started seeing God do amazing
Wow.
things with her health. She started, the weight started coming off, the health issues started just going away. But we started going to church more regularly, and but my mom needed some help. She found the help by reaching out, going to the library, and then she met some people who were attending the church. But that's something I see, that we must be willing. Oh, I'm talking about how I would go to church. I started going to church when I was 6, to the
Right.
Seventh-day Adventist church, but it was just a lot of activity, a lot of church attendance. But during the week, I didn't have that personal connection with Christ. I was attending church, but I didn't
Right.
have a communion with Christ. Where Jesus, I love Jesus. I wanted to do what He told me to do. I just was kind of going through the motions in some way. But when Brent left, I had like a
Yeah.
real sweet experience with Jesus, like a personal revival where I rediscovered Jesus, and He became so near to me. Because I started reading His promises that
Because you was
Yes.
hurt, huh?
I will never leave you nor forsake me, because Brent had left me. He had forsaken me. But when I read
Definitely.
my Bible, I see that Jesus said He will never leave me nor forsake me. Well, I need to spend less time worried about Him and more time reading my Bible to
Right.
find out about somebody who loves me, someone who says, I will heal your broken heart, I will bind up your wounds. And that's what I needed.
Right.
So whereas
Definitely.
when we were together, I didn't
Mhm.
have time to read my Bible because I'm so busy being in love. I'm working and staying up late talking to Brenda. We're going out and stuff like that. When Brent was gone, y'all, I had
Right.
plenty of time to cry, plenty of time to pray, plenty of time to read my Bible and grow that relationship with Christ that I should have had years before. And so it just became a continual
Right.
process of Jesus healing my mind, healing my broken heart, healing me and helping me to get strong so I could then gird my armor on and fight for my marriage. And I want to just share what fight is. Fight is actually, from the title of the book, Fight. It's actually an acronym, and F stands for
Yes.
fervently pray.
Mhm.
Yes.
I, identify Bible promises. G, give thanks. H, have patience. And T, take time for testimonies. And these are some of the indispensable weapons of faith God gave to me, and that the women at Sheila's home who encouraged me to pray for my husband and pray for our marriage, these are some of the things I learned from them. Their testimonies did so much to encourage me, because I mean, eventually my parents got divorced and others around me were divorced, but to just see God work a miracle in a marriage and bring a husband and wife together who had been separated or had been divorced, I didn't really see that much. But to be around
Yes.
these women, and I could see that they
Yeah.
prayed and God answered, and He blessed these women, and they was there. He did it for them, and they didn't just stop and go and enjoy a good life. They came back and they took their time, invested their
Right.
time to minister to women like me who were where they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that's another reason I wrote the book, is to try to be there for somebody else
Mm.
who may feel hopeless.
Pay it forward.
Yes, and it's just been a blessing to be
Yes.
able to have this experience, because now it's saying, okay, if God could do that, we can look to He can do amazing things. He can continue to do great things, and just look into Him to do great things in my life and our life, our family, and in the marriages of so many other people.
Definitely.
Oh, definitely.
So, Brent, I have a question that came across my mind. When you guys got remarried, how did you feel going? How did you feel when y'all got remarried again and started your
God
union?
is so good, Sister Tara, because I wanted to share three interesting things with you guys and your listeners. And I want to share these things as an encouragement. And it's a perfect segue into answering your question. So I feel like God put that on your mind. And the reason I want to share these things
Mm-hmm.
is, like Anika said, she had a personal revival in her life, and that enabled her to gird her armor on, as she said, and fight for
Right.
marriage. But what that looked like is she prayed for me. And you got to understand, you may have left, to
Mm.
go, and you felt like you need to get away and be free. I not only had left, I was in Satan's grasp. I wasn't living a good life. My
Mm.
Yeah.
career was going good, but the
Mm.
things I was doing really could have had me, in trouble. I ain't no gangster, nothing like that. But here I'm chasing women and doing things and going in parts of New Orleans I have no business going in. So really, my
Right.
life is in danger.
Right.
So Nika's praying for me. I want to share
Mm.
with you three things, and this is for your listeners out there who may
Okay.
think it's impossible. Let me share with you some things. You may pray for somebody. You may
Okay.
be getting details of their life. If they're close to you, if they far away, and the reports you're getting are not good, it seemed like it's impossible. While me and Anika were divorced and I'm in New Orleans, I had my first child.
Mhm.
Me and Anika did not have any children. I had my
Mm.
first child, my beautiful daughter named
Right.
Madison. Now, when Nika heard that, she felt like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's over. It's never
Mhm.
going to happen, right? But do
Wow.
you know that the
Wow.
Lord used that baby girl to begin the process in which I returned to Him?
Mhm.
It was looking at my little girl's eyes when she was a
Wow.
little toddler, and she toddled up to me, and she was looking up at me, and I was looking down at her, and the Holy Spirit spoke to me as I'm looking at my daughter, like, I don't want my daughter to grow up and be
Mhm.
with a man like me, an
Right.
adulterer, or
Mm.
the type of man I was living, the type of life I was living. I don't want her to be with nobody
Right.
like me. But yet
Right.
and still, if I keep living like this, she'll probably be attracted to somebody like me because I'm her daddy. I
Wow.
said,
Mhm.
Lord, change me.
Wow.
That's the first thing I wanted to tell you. It
Mm.
seemed like that was a nail in the coffin, right? That seemed like that would just close the door. Nika kept praying, though. Oh, one thing changed. Nika says that
Powerful.
she would pray, bring Brent back to me. But when she found out I had a baby, she just started praying, Lord, just save him. And that's when things started happening. She wasn't praying, bring him to me. She was
Wow.
praying, just save him, Lord. That's what I needed. Now watch this. True
Yes.
story. I remember
Yes.
one.
So that baby changed even her train of thought.
Wow.
Yeah, my daughter, man. I mean, it's just.
Sorry, I was
Oh,
just
your
saying.
baby. You talking about? Yeah, hey, man. It's.
I say no, Madison. Madison being born changed Anika's train of thought because you said she was praying, you know, for
Right.
you, But then when the baby, she probably was like, oh, I don't have a chance. Even if we don't get together, you know what, Lord, just save him.
Yeah.
So it goes to the I can't think of the word. It goes to what Anika, her upbringing and the love she had for you. Even if I can't be with him, Lord, still save him.
Yes.
So that he could be your child. So she still was, you know, like
It's
that
powerful.
unconditional love.
I have chills.
There's like that
That's a
unconditional love
powerful
for you.
prayer. And the Lord
Wow.
honored her in saving my
Yeah,
life through
definitely.
that. And I want to make that very clear. I was lost, y'all.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Now that brings me to the second thing I want to share with
Yes.
you. While
Mercy.
she's praying just for my soul, not praying that the marriage be restored. Now on this side, now that I had a daughter, she's praying just for my soul. One evening, I remember I don't know where Madison was and where her mother was, but I was at home by myself. And I was sitting on my couch in front of my television. And all of a sudden, it was like I was in a vision, even though I was awake. And what it was is like there was these two black clouds, and it only left about that much space between it. And I was stuck all up between these two clouds. And as
Right.
they was coming close together, I could almost feel it pressing against me. Like if them clouds just came together, I wouldn't be able to breathe. It was almost like this my last call for salvation. Like
Wow.
I'm about to be lost. Like the Holy Spirit about to be extinguished.
Mm.
Like if these clouds come together, I can't breathe. It's just a
Wow.
little
Wow.
space like this between these black clouds. That's
Wow.
just a little bit of spiritual breath getting to me. And as I'm looking at this, I'm
Right.
jammed up way in it. And I was like, obviously, my feeling was like, I want to get out of here. And the Lord was showing me the trouble I was in New
Wow.
Orleans and the life I was living. And so the clouds, as you come down, then it
Mm.
start kind of spacing out. And they still had clouds, but it wasn't as thick as where I was. And then at the bottom, it had a river. And then on the other side of that
Mm.
river is
Right.
no more black clouds. And Jesus was there with the rest of his flock. And so I'm like, I need to get down. I want to breathe, right? And the Lord told me, you didn't get yourself
Mm-hmm.
jammed up in this mess overnight, and I can't get you out overnight. You're going to have to listen to me. Sometimes I'm going to have to tell
Wow.
you, go right, stop for a little while, go left. You're going to have to listen to me, and I will get you out. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I want out. I want to get out. Remember, I don't know this. Anika's
Mm.
somewhere hours away praying for me. This is what happens
Mm.
Mercy.
when
There you
if
go.
you will take the time, if you will have the care to pray for somebody, the Lord will do things in their life. That's the second thing I wanted to share with you. Now,
Definitely.
the third thing I want to share
Mm-hmm.
with you
Mm-hmm.
is it's going to get into the answer to your question. How did I feel when it came time for us to return? Now,
Right.
this is kind of crazy. As I'm getting back into, remember I told y'all early on that I started going back to church? So I'm having a
Yes.
revival
Right.
now.
And I didn't know this. I didn't know any of
Wow.
this, okay?
I had a
Oh,
pharmaceutical
wow.
job and I changed jobs. I had the whole state of Louisiana. So sometimes I get in my car and drive 3 hours one direction, 3 hours. So I spend a lot of windshield
Right.
time. So I listen to my music. I'm listening to hip hop, all this type of stuff. But I'm going to church and I'm like, I got to stop putting this garbage in my head. And I was like, I should get the Bible and drive around and listen to the Bible. I started listening to
Right.
the
Mm-hmm.
Bible and that really gave me a personal revival to really hear the word of God day by day, right? One day, y'all, I'm
Wow.
listening to the Bible,
Right.
okay? And look what I hear. This is Malachi chapter 2. True story. I hear this while I'm driving. It says, "In this ye have done." I'm gonna start with verse 13. "In this ye have done again, covering the altar
Okay.
of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regardeth not the offering any more, or receiveth it with good will at your hand. Yet ye say, wherefore?" Like, why, Lord?
Mm.
Why I'm crying with tears at the altar? Why you won't receive it, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet is
Mm.
she thy companion, and the wife of thy covenant.
Mm.
I'm like, Bible say that? I said, I had to go find that. I said, wait a minute. The Bible say the Lord won't regard my offering because he's witness between me and the wife of thy youth. Yet, and say that you've dealt treacherously with her. And look what it say, yet is she thy companion. Wow. Like still, even though you done all of this, the Bible says she's still your companion. It ain't over with yet. 15 says, yes. And did not he make one? Yet he had the residue of the Spirit.
Drop the
and wherefore
beat now.
one? Why did he make y'all one?